Hello, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Computer Applications Online at Ozarka College. In this video is going to be a continuation of the part 1 video that I did for Word Module 1. In this video, I'm going to start on page WD1-24 and work through some more pages of Word Module 1. Specifically, I'll be working from pages 1-24 to page 1-49. Alright, so at this point, if you haven't already gone through and watched the first part of the video, part 1 of Word Module 1, you'll need to go ahead and do that first. And like I said, in this video, this is a continuation of the first video I did for Word Module 1. Alright, so at this point, our document has all the text that we need for the flyer. We did that in the first part of first video. And so now our next task is to format the flyer, the document, the way that we need to according to the textbook. Alright, so if you don't already know some of the terminology that deals with formatting, like font and font size and character formatting and paragraph formatting and document theme, you'll need to read through pages 1-24, 1-25 in your book to kind of get a better idea of some of the terminology. Again, in these demonstration videos, I'm not going to focus on reviewing or talking about the terminology. I'm going to specifically take you through the steps that are presented in the book to create the document. Okay? Alright, so the next thing it wants us to do to create this flyer is on page 1-26, wants us to press Control Home on the keyboard. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what that does is that moves my insertion point to the very top of my document. Alright, you can see how it moved my insertion point to the very beginning of the first paragraph of my document. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is click Design on the ribbon, and I'm going to click the Themes button over on the left hand side, and that'll open up the Themes gallery. And then in the Themes gallery, it wants us to click on the Slate theme. So we're going to scroll through the themes. They're in alphabetical order. And you're going to find Slate kind of towards the bottom there, so you'll have to scroll down until you see Slate and click on this Slate theme. Okay, what that does is it will change the font and the font color, or not font color, but the font, and basically make some other formatting changes to our document based on that document theme change that we just made. Okay, so anytime you want to make several document format changes all at one time, you can apply a particular document theme that goes along with your document and kind of do several formats at one time. So, alright, so what we're going to do after we've got the document theme changed to Slate is on page 1-27, we're going to click the Home tab up on the ribbon, and we're going to click somewhere in the paragraph to be centered, in this case the headline. So where it says wash your hands at the top of the flyer, that's our headline, if you'll remember from the first video. And what we're going to do is just make sure that the insertion point is somewhere in that paragraph. Alright, and then what we're going to do is click the center button in the paragraph group on the ribbon. Okay, so right up here on the paragraph group of the Home tab up on the ribbon, right here, you're going to click on Center. Okay, and that just centers that paragraph that we had our insertion point in. Okay, so it centers the headline of the announcement. Alright, so then on page 1-28, in addition to the headline being centered, we also want to center the second paragraph of the flyer. So we're going to click down here where it says washing your hands with soap and water can decrease outbreaks and so forth. We're going to click there on that second paragraph right here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click the center button to center that paragraph. Okay, and you can look down on the picture on the bottom of page 1-28 to kind of check your work and make sure that you centered the correct paragraphs. Okay. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and format some single and multiple paragraphs and characters. Alright, so the first thing is we want to move the pointer to the left of the line to be selected, in this case the headline. So we're going to move our pointer, our I-beam mouse pointer, to the left of the W in the word wash your hands, or the words wash your hands, basically the headline text. And then we're going to and actually we're gonna point to the paragraph, but we're gonna make sure that the mouse pointer is actually in the left margin of the page, so that the arrow kind of points towards the paragraph. Because what we want to do is select the entire paragraph, not just some text within the paragraph. So what we're going to do is point to the paragraph, make sure our mouse pointer is over in the left margin, pointing towards the headline, and we're going to click with the mouse. And then that selects the entire paragraph, and now we can do some character formatting. So we're going to change the font size of that text that's selected. We're going to go up to the font group on the Home tab, and I'm on page 1-30 now. What we're going to do is, or actually on the bottom of page 1-29, we need to click the font size arrow right here where it says 11 right now. That's the default font size. We need to change that, so we're going to click the down arrow, and that brings up the font size list box. And then on page 1-30, we're going to click on 36 in that list, so that we change the font size of the headline text to 36 point font. Okay? Alright, so we've got that. And then on the bottom of page 1-30, under to change the font of selected text, we're going to change the font of this text. So we're going to go up to the font box arrow and click on it. It'll open up the font drop down list box, and then on page 1-31 at the top there, step 2, it wants us to click on Rockwell Extra Bold. Alright, so all these fonts are in alphabetical order, so we're going to have to scroll through the list until we find Rockwell Extra Bold, and we're going to click on Rockwell Extra Bold to apply that font to the headline text that we had selected. Alright. Alright. Now once we've done that, we also want to change the case of the headline text that we have selected. So with the text still selected, we're going to click the change case down arrow, which is right here. We're going to click the down arrow for the change case button, and it'll open up the options that we have for changing the case. And in this case, we want to click on uppercase, which is step 2 on the top of page 1-32. So we're going to click on uppercase to change all that text to uppercase. Alright, Then on the bottom of page 1-32, it wants us to apply a text effect to that headline text that we still have selected. So first thing is you want to make sure the text is still selected, and we're going to click the Text Effects and Typography button in the font group. Okay, so that is right here, Text Effects and Typography. We're going to click on that. It'll open up the drop-down list box or the gallery. And if you'll notice in the last picture there on page 1-32, it points to the correct text effect that we want to select, which is in the second row in the second to the last column, which is this one right here. Fill white, outline brown, accent color 1, glow brown, accent color 1. You'll notice that these text effects have really long names. It's basically you're applying a lot of formatting all at one time, and when you select these text effects, and so don't be alarmed that it's such a long name. That's just the way it is. So we're going to click on that specific text effect that it shows us there on page 1-32. All right, then we're just going to click somewhere in the document window, somewhere on our document, basically, to remove the selected text, or to remove the selection from the text, so that our headline text is no longer selected, because we're done formatting it at this point. All right, so next thing we want to do is we want to apply some paragraph formatting to the headline text. So we're done with the character formatting. Now we're going to apply some paragraph formatting to that text. And so what we're going to do is just click somewhere in the headline text. All right, and then you're going to click the shading button in the paragraph group of the Home tab. And that shading button is just the little button that looks like a tipped over paint can. And so you're going to click the down arrow next to the shading button, and it opens up the gallery of various colors that we can choose in our shading. And the shading color that it wants us to apply is shown on step 2 on the top of page 1-34. It wants us to apply brown accent 4 darker 25%, which is the 8th color in the 5th row. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and if you look at the picture on the bottom of page 1-33, it points you to the correct color of shading, which is, again, brown accent 4 darker 25%. All right, if you don't find it right away, just point to a couple of them that are in the vicinity of where it shows it in the book there, and just look at the screen tip, and it'll tell you what shading color you have pointed to. All right, so we're going to click on brown accent 4 darker 25%, which is that one right there. All right, then, so we've got our headline formatted so that it kind of stands out for us, because we want our audience to notice that first. So now our next step is to format some of the other parts of the flyer. So next thing on the bottom of page 1-34, under to select a paragraph, it wants us to move the pointer into the paragraph to be selected, which is the second paragraph where it says washing your hands with soap and water. What we're going to do there is we want to basically select that entire paragraph, and the way it wants us to do this one is to triple click the paragraph with the mouse. Okay, so we're just going to point to the paragraph and triple click with our mouse. Just basically press the left mouse key 3 times very quickly, and that's a triple click, and that selects the entire paragraph. Alright, and then what we're going to do on page 1-35 is with the paragraph selected, we're going to click the font color arrow in the font group of the home tab, which is right here. And we're going to click the down arrow and it'll show us the gallery of various colors that we can choose from. And again, in the picture on page 1-35, it points us to the correct color. Alright, which is basically red accent 5 darker 25%. Again, use the screen tip, that little box that comes up that tells you what the name of the color is. That'll help you find the correct color. So we're going to click on that one, and that changes the font color of that text. Alright, then we want to change the font size of that selected text. So on the top of page 1-36, with that text, with that second paragraph still selected, we're going to change the font size of that text to 22. So we're going to do it the same way basically that we did for the first paragraph. We're going to click on the font size box arrow and then click on the font size in the box there that it wants us to, which is font size 22. And then we're going to click somewhere in the document to deselect the text. Alright. Alright, now on the bottom of page 1-36 wants us to change the zoom percentage. Alright. So we're going to zoom out to 120%. So you can do that down here on the zoom box on the status bar, right down here on the bottom right hand corner of the Word window or of the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the minus sign there, which is zoom out until 120% displays to the right of the zoom box. Okay, so just click it as many times you need to until 120% displays as the zoom percentage. Alright, and the reason that we're doing this is so that we can see more of our document in the document window, because we're going to do some formatting in just a minute that's going to change our document quite a bit, and we want to be able to see everything that we're doing as we're formatting. Alright, so on page 1-37, what we need to do is move the mouse pointer to the left of the first paragraph to be selected. Alright, and basically what it wants us to do, and you can see it in the pictures there on the bottom of page 1-37, it wants us to select basically everything in our flyer below the second paragraph and above the last paragraph of the flyer, which would basically be considered the body of the flyer. So we're going to point to the left of the word how up here, which is our third paragraph, and where the mouse pointer is pointing towards the paragraph. And then we're going to hold down the left mouse button and drag down all the way until we have the last paragraph that we want selected, which is the paragraph right above the signature line. Okay, so just if you don't get it the first time, just try it again until you get the text selected, just like I have, which is basically everything except the first and second paragraphs and the last paragraph of the flyer. Basically what we're doing is selecting the body of the flyer. Alright, so we've got that done. Once we're done with that, on page 1-38, with that text selected, we're going to change the font size of that text to 20. So just like we did before, we're going to go up here to the font size box arrow, click on it, and then click the font size that we want, which is 20. Alright, so it changes that font size, and then to deselect the text, just click anywhere in your document. Alright, on the bottom of page 1-38, under to number a list of paragraphs, what we're going to do, since some of these steps, or some of these items in our the body of our flyer are meant to be kind of steps that we would go through to wash our hands and so forth, or rules that we need to look at. What we're going to do is kind of create a numbered list for some of these items. All right, so it might help you on this next step to look at the pictures there on page 1-39 to see what part of our document we need to select. But basically what we're going to do is move our mouse pointer to the left of the first paragraph to be selected until the mouse pointer changes to a right pointing block arrow. So we basically, in this case, we want to move our mouse pointer to the left of the W in the word wet. All right, right here. And we're going to, where the mouse pointer is pointing towards the paragraph. And then we're going to hold down the left mouse button and drag down all the way through the dry hands paragraph. Okay. All right, so this part of our document we want selected. Okay. Once we've done that, we're going to click the numbering button in the paragraph group of the Home tab. So in the paragraph group right here, you'll notice there is a numbering button. We're going to click on that numbering button because we want those paragraphs that we have selected to be numbered. Okay, basically it just puts a number before each one of those paragraphs because they're basically steps that we need to go through. Okay, all right, so we've got that. All right, then on page 1-40, it shows you how to use the undo and redo buttons. And so anytime you do some kind of formatting or some editing in your document, and maybe you made a mistake and you did something that you really didn't need to do, then you can use the undo button to go back to where you were before you made the mistake. And so that's all it's really showing you there on page the top of page 1-40. So let's kind of go through this just in case you don't already know how to use undo and redo. Up here on the quick access toolbar, which is on the left side of the title bar, there is a button that looks like a left pointing curved arrow. And what you can do is click on that. Go ahead and click on that. And what it does is it takes you back to where you were before you did your last formatting. Okay. And so what it did when I clicked on undo is it took the numbers off of the paragraphs that we had selected. All right. But in my case, in our case, we don't actually want to undo that. We actually want the numbered the numbers on those paragraphs. So we're going to click the redo button, which is the button that is right next to the undo button that looks like a right pointing curved arrow. So we're going to click on redo. And so anytime you undo something and then you realize you didn't need to undo it, that it was actually correct before, then you can redo it and get back to where you were before you clicked on undo. Okay, so that exercise was just to kind of show you the value in knowing how to use undo and redo. All right, on the bottom of page 1-40, it wants us to bullet some paragraphs in our document. So the first thing we need to do is scroll down in our document just a little bit so that we can see the bottom portion of our document. Okay, from when all the way down to our signature line. All right, and what we're going to do here is we're going to bullet some paragraphs on the bottom of our flyer. So just like we did up here, what we want to do is we want to select by dragging through the paragraphs, we want to select the paragraph that starts out after eating all the way down to after handling dirty equipment or garbage. So we're going to do it the same way that we did the other set of paragraphs. So we're going to point to the A in the word after, and we're going to hold down the left mouse button and drag down until those paragraphs that we want selected are selected. Again, if you make a mistake selecting the paragraphs the first time, just try it again. Try it until you get it. Okay? and then just kind of look at the picture there on page 1-41. It shows you what paragraph should be selected. You can also look on my copy here. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to add bullets to these paragraphs. So to do that, you're going to go up to the paragraph group of the Home tab and click on the bullets button, which is the very first button in the paragraph group. So we're going to click on the bullets button, and that bullets those paragraphs. Okay, and then we're going to click just somewhere in our document to deselect the text. All right, and then once we have that done, we're going to do some auto format as you type. Or if you don't know what auto format as you type is, there's a lot of good information there on page 1-42. We're going to kind of use a lot of these things as we go through the semester, so it'd be a good idea to kind of know what types of things are automatically formatted as you type them in Word. One of the things that's automatically formatted in Word is a hyperlink, okay, a web page. If you'll notice down here on the signature line, the last paragraph of our flyer, the web address that we typed in, www.foodworkers.com, down here, when we typed it in, it automatically formatted it as a link, okay, as a hyperlink, so that when you click on it, it would take you to that particular website. Well, since we're actually going to be printing this flyer instead of sending it electronically, the hyperlink is really useless on a printout. And so because of that, we're going to remove the hyperlink. Okay, so the way that you would do that, the way we're going to do it is on page 1-43, we're going to right click on the hyperlink, okay, and it'll open up a shortcut menu when you right click, and then what we're going to do is click on remove hyperlink on the shortcut menu, okay, and that just removes that hyperlink from that text. Alright, and then once we've got that done, we're going to, on the bottom of page 1-43, it wants us to center another paragraph. So we're going to click somewhere in the paragraph to be centered, in this case the signature line. So make sure that the signature line contains the paragraph the insertion point, that you click somewhere in the signature line to move the insertion point there. And then what we're going to do is click the center button up in the paragraph group of the Home tab. Alright, just like we did for the headline. Alright, now on the bottom of page 1-43, it talks about using the mini toolbar to format text. The mini toolbar is a little toolbar that opens when you have text selected. Alright, so what we're going to do is, on the top of page 1-44, it wants us to move the pointer to the left of the signature line, kind of in the left margin of the page, where the mouse pointer is pointing towards the paragraph, and you're going to click with the mouse. When you do that, you'll notice that a little mini toolbar displays right here. On that mini toolbar, what we're going to do is we're going to change the font size of that selected text to 18. Alright, you'll notice this little mini toolbar has some of the same options as the Home tab up on the ribbon. Alright, so you can, when you're selecting text to format, you can use the mini toolbar or the Home tab. You can use either one. So in this case, we're going to use the mini toolbar. We're going to click the down arrow for the font size box, and we're going to click on 18 to change the font size of the signature line to 18 point. Alright, once we've done that, we're going to use the mini toolbar again to change the font color of that text to red accent 5 darker 25%. So just like we did before, we're gonna click the font color down arrow, and it'll open up the font color gallery, and then it shows you in the picture on the bottom of page 1-44 which color we want to select to apply to this text. So again, just use your screen tip there where it says red accent 5 darker 25%, just to make sure you have the right one, and click on it. Alright, it changes the font color of that text, and then just click somewhere in your document to deselect the signature line. Alright, the next thing we need to do on page 1-45 is position the mouse pointer immediately to the left of the first character in the word to be selected. In this case, it is the word additional. Alright, down here at the end of the signature line. Basically what we want to do is we want to select the last 3 words of the signature line paragraph. Alright, so we're going to just move our mouse pointer to the left of the first letter in the first word that we want to select, hold down the left mouse button, and drag through the last word that we want selected, which is the word tips. And you can kind of look at the picture on page 1-45 to see if you have the correct text selected. And again, if you don't do it right the first time, just keep trying it till you get it. Alright? Alright. Once we have that text selected, we're going to underline that text by going up to the font group of the Home tab and clicking on the underline button right here. Okay? So once we've got that underlined, on page 1-46, we're going to go through and italicize some text. Specifically, we want to italicize the word prevent in the second paragraph, kind of towards the top of our document. So we're going to scroll up to the top of our document, and we're going to find the word prevent in the second paragraph, and we're going to click somewhere in that paragraph to move the insertion point there, and then we're going to go up to the font group of the Home tab and click on the italic button. That just changes that word to italic. Okay. And then on page 1-47, we're going to now learn how to select non-adjacent text. Alright, so this, in some cases you'll want to select text to format that is not connected. It's not adjacent to each other. And so there's a special way that we can select non-adjacent text. Basically what it wants us to do here in the next format that we want to apply is it wants us to select the first word of each of the 5 numbered paragraphs up here, where it says, wet, lather, scrub, rinse, and dry. So it wants us to select each of the first word in each one of those 5 numbered paragraphs. So to do that, we're going to drag through the word wet first, okay? And then while holding down the control key is what we use when we want to select non-adjacent text in our document. So after you select the word wet, you're going to hold down the control key as you drag through the word lather, and then continue to hold it down as you drag through the word scrub. Continue to hold it down as you drag through the word rinse, and continue to hold it down as you drag through the word dry. Then once you have all 5 of those words selected, you can release the control key and release the mouse button. And so now we've got the first word in each one of those numbered paragraphs selected. Alright, and once we have them selected, what it wants us to do is on page 1-48, it wants us to bold those words that we have selected. So we're going to click the bold button in the font group of the Home tab. That just bolds those words. And then just click somewhere in our document to deselect the text. Alright, and then the next thing it wants us to do on page 1-49, and actually before we save this document again, you'll notice there in table 1-4, it shows you techniques for selecting text. If you haven't already done so, you need to kind of study that because this is something that you'll need to be able to do, not just in this module, but some of the other modules that we'll do this semester. So just kind of make sure if you don't already know how to, for example, select a single word, or to select a sentence, or to select a paragraph, or multiple paragraphs, then you need to kind of read through that and study it. Alright, on the bottom of page 1-49, what we want to do is save this document that we've created, that we formatted now, with a different name than we used the first time we saved it. If you remember in the first video that we did, we saved the document with the name Wash Hands Flyer unformatted. What we want to do now, since we formatted our document, is we want to change the name and basically save it again with a different name so that we know that it is formatted, the formatted version of the flyer. So to do this, we're going to go through the steps on the bottom of page 1-49. So the first thing we're going to do is click the File tab up on the ribbon. That takes us to Backstage View in Word. And then we're going to click the Save As button on the left side of the Backstage View here. We're going to click Save As. Alright. And then up here in the file name box, I'm going to, basically the only difference between the name that we used before and the name that we're using now is we're going to change the last part of this name to formatted instead of unformatted. So now we could just go and retype the whole thing, the whole name, but since there's just a very small part of it that's different, all we're going to do is drag through the word unformatted at the end of the file name right here, and once that is that word unformatted is selected in the file name, we're going to type in the word formatted. Okay, so we're just changing it from unformatted to formatted. Alright, once we've done that, we're going to click the Save button. Okay, and that just saves our document with a different name so that we have one version of our document that's unformatted and one version that is formatted. Okay, alright, now you're going to have to be careful to keep those two things separate and make sure that you upload the correct file when you get ready to upload your assignment. Okay, alright, so once we've got that done, that is basically the end of this particular part of the module. What I'm going to do in the last part 3 of this demonstration is I will go through the last part of the module where it shows you how to insert the picture and how to format it and do a couple other formats at the end of the flyer to kind of finalize it. But this is the end of this particular video. Again, in the third video we'll finish up this flyer and then we'll have it ready to upload into Miles Arca. So I will talk to you in the next video.